Alright, here we go. Normally when painting I mix primary acrylic colors as one would on a piece of canvas. That is time consuming, however, so I decided to try using pre-mixed miniature specific paints. They were thinner than I anticipated, however. As I was adding them to my palette, I added a drop of water to each color, and this is the result for white, which I found quite shocking, but it was nothing that couldn't be solved by adding a few extra layers once these first few had dried. It was similar here, where I was not used to how running this paint was. I actually thought I was actually applying a gloss paint instead of a base coat. This olive green color had to be applied a bit thicker, but even as I was applying it, I thought it was an interesting effect that was like, okay, maybe if this sticks around, maybe it'll be an interesting for the piece. Someday, but not today, I will learn how to do metallic, non-metallic painting, but for the time being, this store-bought metallic paint is going to suffice, I think. When I began painting with it, I had a moment of panic, believing I was applying glitter directly to the paint. Glitter is something which my grade school days have traumatized me up from. But I'm not sure if it's the black primer I'm applying this over or just an effect of it drying, but it actually has quite a nice sheen to it, especially when you get a bit thicker. It becomes a bit lighter, brighter, like a bright and shiny steel, so I think this is something I'm going to want to stick with for the time being. This gentleman here is a commando figure whom I think will pair well with the heavier units of the game. I've decided to give him all the fatigues with, but mostly a metallic shell. I'm still battling the thinness of the paint, still layering it on, but I think I make some headway in its application at this stage. This is when I had my greatest doubts about the metallic silver, worrying that too much of the base was coming through and it was just a layer of glitter. But it needed some extra coating to really highlight that the bits that it were being painted were metal, and I think it comes through better on that leg piece, as well as some of the chainmail. I learned my lesson with the last commando. This gentleman is going to get less metal carapace and more of an olive tunic. With the base layers done, I figure it was time for dry brushing in order to give her a more worn and weathered look. Unfortunately, this is when I realized I forgot to paint that case on her back, which I mixed up some red and black to make that nice brown before applying it to the rest of the unit, before realizing I conveniently had a good matte brown for some mud. This is the only figure I've seen with this drop of blood on a rectangular backing, so I thought it would make a convenient symbol for a medical unit. I didn't want to go with a red drop on a dark background that felt too close to some other motifs I've seen before, but given that this is supposed to be a more faithful, more sacred character, I thought that the golden ichor would be a more convenient symbol. Or perhaps I'm just getting my religious symbolism mixed up. As I was preparing to dry brush this crouching Crusader, I realized that I could not leave him with all his satchels and equipment in that dark black unpainted. That just felt incomplete. So I decided to touch him up a bit, give him a satchel, give him a proper wood stock to his rifle, as well as some belts to liven him up a bit and make him seem a bit more lived. I am pleased with how these models turned out, and I am pleased overall with how the Warband has come out. I think you can see an evolution between when I started with the 2 heavy mechanized infantry in the back all the way to the 3 most recent models. I am looking forward to playing with these on the tabletop, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and got some entertainment out of this, and I will see you next time.